Welcome to another episode of Fantasy News, your first of 2020. The new decade means the same fantasy news. I'm not changing it that much here, but I'm happy to say we have a nice set of news to start off the year with, the decade with, as we're going to get into some fantasy fraud, as well as some reports on how fantasy shows did in 2019, and some other just general fantasy stuff, finishing off with the superhero news thingies adaptations. But without any further ado, I'm a little bit of self-promotion here. It looks like I'm going to be starting off 2020 by hitting 100,000 subscribers within the next week or two here. I will be live streaming the day it happens here on the channel, whenever that may be. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the fantasy news of today, starting with Christopher Paolini's Fantasy Fraud Alert. I'm very sad to say that apparently a company is going around and impersonating Christopher Paolini to try and extort money out of people. According to Christopher Paolini's website, which he encourages you to go to on his Reddit post, New Reader magazine has been fraudulently contacting authors posing as Christopher Paolini when they get on the phone with them and trying to get money for an upcoming Aragon movie project thing. Very strange, but if you encounter anything like this, really you should be hesitant for any time a content creator of any sort, whether it's an author or YouTuber, tries to extort money out of you for a project, directly reaching out to you like, hey, give me cash. We've also seen people involved with the Avengers have similar problems. I think Chris Evans was having people impersonate him trying to get cash from fans. We will not contact you directly to be like, hey, give us money. The most we'll do is be like, hit the Patreon if you can afford it and you're budgeted. Any content creator who goes beyond that pretty much sucks. But moving on into Witcher news, it seems like this is going to be a continual theme for fantasy news for a bit, but this next one's pretty interesting, and it's actually a clarification of something I talked about in the last fantasy news. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt's game sales have skyrocketed since the show's release, and I had a few people commenting, maybe that's not because of the show, it's because it's available on new consoles all the time, and that's just a ramification of this. That may contribute, I'm not going to discount that entirely, but I think it's much more heavily attributed to the recent show's success, because specifically on PC, we've seen The Witcher 3 on Steam specifically, where it has been out for ever, basically, hit an all-time high for new player count, which really can only be attributed to the show's recent success. This is over 4 years after its release. That is a jaw-dropping feat and a clear result of what's happening here with the show. I don't think any other factor could possibly contribute to the PC sales, where it's been forever, skyrocketing right as the show went out. I don't know why people push back on that one so hard. Netflix also released its most popular shows of the year, and the consistent theme was that fantasy seemed to dominate, with all three of the top spots going to either sci-fi or fantasy shows. Demonstrated here in this beautiful little graph they put up on their YouTube channel, as you can see, The Witcher, Stranger Things Season 3, and The Umbrella Academy stole the show. And this really does make sense for Witcher to be in the #1 spot, because we are seeing it actually apparently being reported as more popular than The Mandalorian. But I want to add a big fat asterisk next to that, because Business Insider is reporting that yes, it's more popular than Mandalorian, but there is so many different ways this could be justified or refactored to not exactly be the case. One, Netflix is available to a lot more people, while Disney, it has a success. Disney Plus is successful, but it doesn't have the number of subscribers that Netflix does by a lot. On top of that, we have an all-at-once release with The Witcher that just came out versus a weekly release of The Mandalorian, and I don't really know how that would affect popularity, but at the end of the year, when both of them are coming out so late, I would assume the one that you can just binge in a day and then talk about your friends about with might have a slight advantage. I think these numbers will be a lot clearer in this little head-to-head of releases a few months down the road, where we can see which one has the better longevity and critical reception once some time has gone by. That's what I'll be waiting for before I call it, but hey, it's still cool to see Business Insider do their best to do a comparison and draw a conclusion that The Witcher is more popular. I also consistently love how on my Mandalorian and Witcher reviews, I still get people commenting like, "It was a flawless 10 out of 10. How could you possibly say anything less?" And now we're going to jump into a fantasy news special with the recent Brandon Sanderson tweet storm as he pushed to finish the Stormlight Archive before the year was over, a rather impressive feat that he managed to accomplish. On December 30th, 2019, Brandon Sanderson tweeted, "All right, folks, today is the day. I'm going to make a final push to finish Stormlight 4. I want to have the book done by the new year, so so the family is on board with me spending the next 10 to 12 hours writing. I'll post updates to let you know how it's going. A quite lofty goal to set for yourself, but Brandon Sanderson began the journey. Update 1. First scene of the climactic sequence done at 780 words. 10 more will get me to the halfway point. 10 more scenes, he means. Though most will be shorter than this one. If you're curious and want to listen along, here are my playlists for today. He has these nice writing playlists that are kind of just capturing the vibe for what he's going for, I assume, and I know a lot of writers do kind of write while they listen to music. I'm going to jump ahead here, but if you'd like to see all the tweets involved with this, there were a lot, and there'll be a link to his Twitter right down there. But the final tweets that signified it was over were, and done. The end has been typed and Stormlight Book 4 is finished. Rough draft at least. 19,000 words today. 424,000 words total. I'm extremely proud of this ending. I hope you all enjoy it when you finally get to read it in 11 months or so. Thank you for everyone who was cheering me on. I read most all of your replies, even if I couldn't respond. Now, everyone who has been waiting up for this post, go get some sleep. I'll post a longer update on the Stormlight subreddit soon. Happy New Year to you all. I have never heard of someone writing 19,000 words in one marathon for a writing session. That is absolutely bonkers. Congratulations, Brandon Sanderson. That's a hell of an achievement to have under your belt, and I, among many other fans, really enjoyed seeing you do it. Congratulations there. Moving on to the next news. Now, getting into the more just kind of fantasy adaptations and general movie things, I wanted to touch on something here that's not exactly fantastical, but worth note. Travis Knight, the 6th director attached to Uncharted since 2009, has left the project due to Tom Holland's scheduling conflicts because of Spider-Man 3. There's been a lot of issues with the Uncharted adaptation coming down the road. This is just the latest, and many people are asking why is Tom Holland even attached? He's not a good fit for Nathan Drake. What's going on here? Ah, man, the curse of video game adaptation movies just seems to be living on strong here. And in rare we get for adaptation news, we actually had a release date moved up, so it'll be happening sooner. And that is the WandaVision movie will no longer be happening in 2021, but it'll be released in actually 2020. Very cool, Disney, we get more sooner. The Obi-Wan TV show coming down the road for Disney Plus is apparently going to be casting a young Luke Skywalker. We see a lot of people flipping out over this and predicting like major canonical changes to A New Hope. I predict this will much more just be like an offhand in the background, like, oh, that's Luke Skywalker, and then we see him and it moves on for like an episode. I don't think Luke Skywalker will be playing an integral role episode after episode for the upcoming Obi-Wan show. A new trailer for the New Mutants movie that has been delayed repeatedly but seems to have a final firm release date for April 3rd, 2020 will apparently be released January 6th. I'm excited to see the trailer and really pumped to see this movie. I believe it'll be the last X-Men movie we get outside of the MCU. Let's hope it ends on a higher note than Dark Phoenix critically was received at. Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness is reportedly going to add some new characters for the MCU that have been anticipated for a long time. This has a lot of speculation going around. Everyone's saying characters from Blade to Clea and a voodoo doctor that I'm not familiar with, but yes, Doctor Strange is going to be bringing in new heavy hitters for the MCU. And in a maybe response to Baby Yoda, maybe just a coincidence piece of news here, probably just a coincidence, the new Sonic trailer that has been released in Japan heavily features a young baby Sonic. And probably not a response to Baby Yoda trying to ride the same meme, but we do have an adorably young and fluffy baby Sonic in this new Japanese trailer. Of course, link to check it out in the comments down below. And in the final bit of fantasy news we're covering here today, the Season 2 of Mandalorian has been confirmed by Jon Favreau himself to be released the fall of this year. So we will have a follow-up to Season 1 rather quickly coming down the pipe. Let me know if you're excited for that in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And are you as floored at seeing Brandon Sanderson write over 19,000 words in a day? Because Jesus, that's insane. Have a good one, y'all. Peace. Oh, God. Peace.